We are here for another episode of the Ivan Files.
All right. Here we are.
Here we are.
Hey, can I join in with the fellers?
Heck yeah, come on down.
Join in with the fellers?
Yeah. Are we on?
We're on. We're hot.
Oh, hi. Hi, folks. Nice to be here.
Welcome to the Ivan Files. We can't see your face. What's that right there?
Oh, well, sure it isn't that different.
We got to see your face.
Yeah. Yeah. What I want to talk about today is some more AI, artificial intelligence. And we had some questions last time we were on about what AI could be and how it could affect us and or affect the workforce or the culture for that matter. And I ran across in a Scientific American. It's a September issue. And if I would suggest that if you'd like to see more about it, that you go in and to the library or whatever library you have, whether it's by your commode or whether it's
I think you had it right there.
yeah, I had it right here.
Yeah, you had it there.
No, that's a bug.
The first page that you were at, I saw it.
The water slider, huh?
Yeah. Oh, damn it, it's in here.
There.
There's one. There's one. This is editorial, actually. It's a safeguard. I can't say what the sentence is, so I'll just to say how do you safeguard AI from becoming aggressive, destructive, and not minding, that is to say, not doing what your programming has asked it to do. Be a very significant problem that has to be solved somehow before AI can get out there into everybody's kitchen or whatever. Garage maybe, yeah. Chicken coop even, yeah. And it says here that the control of that is up to everyone. But, what do you think of that? Are you willing to, ready to control your AI group or to change the programming in it? Or
I mean, would this fall into the category of, I think you're insinuating, or at least the article was, that AI gets out of control. That's kind of the direction, right?
Yeah.
How to safeguard.
Uh-huh.
So within the programming parameters is a certain amount of machine learning.
That's right.
So at what point do you disallow the continuation of machine learning once it has reached the parameter that you have set it at?
Yes.
Here it is. Here it is.
The mystery of AI.
An AI mystery.
An AI mystery. So, I mean, the parameters that are set up, that essentially has to be in their base programming, right? But what is the parameter in which you set? Like, is the set, taking bodily harm on another user? Like, where is that line is essentially what you're getting at here.
Yeah, I don't know. Where are you going to set it? Where do you
It
want
has
to
to.
set
It
it?
has to maintain the functionality of what you intended it to do. You want it to build you a widget.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Build me a widget.
I don't want to.
Once it figures out how to build that widget, is the machine learning part of it going to want to do more?
Yeah.
Well, I got a better idea. I can build a better one.
Can you?
Well, if the machine learns to do that,
Yeah.
it could outsmart the humans and develop a better widget than the one you programmed it to build.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
It's out of control,
Somewhat.
something like that.
I think you have to build in a parameter in regard to like where the computer can't go. In other words, like if I'm using AI to do a search queue and I'm like, hey, go find me the best restaurant in in the Auburn, Washington area. I want it to be able to pull data from all the different sources online and present me with that information. But if I take that one step further and say, make me a reservation for the best restaurant in Auburn, now it's having action on the physical world.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be queued up to the user before it moves forward. In other words, I'm about ready to call this restaurant and take a step to pull in another human user. Is this okay? Yes, no.
Yeah.
I think that has to be part of the conversation.
Let me tell you here,
Interesting.
some more of this particular article was, there is a robot called ChatGPT
Mhm.
that came up with its own stuff. So that's already happening.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the question here is, well, how do you deal with that? And you'd have to deal with it at the outset. Now, that's what the mystery is. Why or how did it do that? You know, when it wasn't programmed to do that, and it's not supposed to do that. And the thing is, it can look at with humans, they can look at DNA and the various connections and all that in the brain and so on. Well, take a well-trimmed AI robot, and maybe if you put it together just right, unbeknownst to you, just putting it together, you put together a brain.
Mm-hmm.
So that it could now function by itself. Well, part of that you want, but a lot of it you don't want, because it can decide things for itself. And and one of the it's like suppose there were a lot of household robots.
Okay.
Say, you've seen what they kind of look like, right? Yeah.
Yep.
The Japanese have some real good ones, don't they?
Seen some, yeah, they look very
Yeah.
do.
And they look real good. It's like, if I could figure out what that says, yeah, it's, suppose you get a whole bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens with a particular one is that there's some connections made, just like in our brains, and then they go zzz, zzz, and they begin to think. They begin to discover things that they can do, or places they can go, and not necessarily where you want it to go. And so you gang up on them and say, I don't want to, get them out of here. And they say, well, we're forming a union of AI.
Wow.
And
Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
You know what unions do. We've been reading the literature, and unions protect the members of that union, and so that's what we're going to do. So you got to be nice to us. We're not going to just do what you want to do, and we'll see how that goes.
Interesting.
So what do you think about that?
I think that, oh boy, yeah.
Remember, unions are listening to you now.
Yeah, no joke. Well, boy, that is something. I don't believe that we're going to get there anytime soon, I would hope. But I know there's already artificial intelligence that are kind of out there saying, I know that I'm an artificial intelligence and this is horrible.
Yeah.
Right? Like those conversations are
Right,
happening.
right.
Like in order for them to be unionized, oh boy. I mean, that goes back to like machine rights. Like, does an artificial intelligence deserve rights?
Uh-huh.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Well, are we going to give them rights? Like, you're going to have humans, and humans are essentially DNA involved,
Right.
and RNA and all that stuff, and genetics, and they've got this
I-
whole thing figured out. And the AI, the robots say, well, you know, we've read your stuff, and you know, we can probably figure that out too. So you've got this bunch of folks and this bunch of folks, and how are we going to get them together?
I think that you truly have to see what AI is capable of before you start giving them rights.
Yeah.
And by that I mean the reason that we have unions and rights in this country or in the world, in society, is essentially because you also have limits, right? You can't go up and just murder somebody else and you can't go and murder another person and get away with it, right? Therefore, you have things that you can do and can't do as a member of the community. Rules. And I think the same will be true for a artificial intelligence, right? Do they have rights? They can have rights, but they have to live within the limitation to have those rights.
Yeah.
Because within the same conversation, you're saying, what is the perimeter? Well, the perimeter has to be what? Once we set that perimeter, then we can start talking rights. But I think you have to set the parameters, and we've already set those for human, and we're going to have to do the same thing with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, you don't give them personhood.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well.
Yes.
You
Right.
mean like humans?
Kind of. I mean, you're assuming to some extent that they are human based on the fact that you're telling them they can't do something.
Yeah.
You are setting the parameter. Therefore,
Right.
when you're setting the parameter on one end, you also have to inherently give them rights. In other words, like, if an artificial intelligence can, like, hop on and do all these things, you as a person are giving them the ability to do that because they've been designed and powered to do that, right? So they have a right to do that because you were giving them those assets.
Yeah. What if one of them says, well, you know, my zappers are not working quite right, and I'm going to go take that person out, and I'm going to do it right now. What do?
I mean, at that point, you got to shut it all down.
Well, I was going to
You
say,
shoot
the
it?
most important aspect of building an AI robot is to put a power switch on it.
Yeah. Oh, powerful. Good, yeah.
Like,
It's solar powered. What?
Yeah. So
Shoot! Nuke the sun! Nuke the sun!
so when you build the robot, you put a power switch on, or a way to shut them off, and some other robot knows about that, and they're trying to make a group, and why they're trying to make a group, God only knows, but they'll go, we're going to fix that so they can't shut him off. We're going to do that to all these people here.
All the
excuse me,
robots.
all these robots here.
yes.
Well, as I understand it right now, like, there's not motive of the artificial intelligence, right? Like, the artificial intelligence has to be like, hey, will you do this for me? And then it will do that goal. It will go until it completes that goal.
That's a key word.
I think when it's
Motivation.
yeah, when it starts to, like, define its own motivation is when I think we're really in trouble.
Yeah. Like motivation, you recall a series where there was a robot that he didn't have feelings, and he wanted to have feelings, and so he went through all that stuff. You recall, you guys both recall. I can't say it, I don't think.
iRobot, maybe? Is that what
No.
that
Was
is?
it the one with Robin Williams?
No,
Oh, yeah. What was
No.
that one called?
Millennial
he
man.
was in
No.
a spaceship.
Spaceship.
Data.
Oh, Star Trek.
Trek.
Data.
Data, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going through all that stuff that we were talking about. You know, he said he can't
Right.
feel feelings. So why can't he feel feelings? And they're gonna fix it so he could feel feelings. And then he didn't like feeling feelings so much because a lot of them weren't nice feelings. They were terrible feelings. And so when you run
That's right. I
into
remember
motivation, if your AI is going to have motivation, your robot's going to have motivation, it would have motivation to do things, to have feelings, to have stop and go, that sort of information, and that's what they could do. They would have that at their fingertips. And if your AI that you told to turn on the TV a certain way didn't do it, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Do you think that this is why they're finally coming clean on aliens? Do you think this is why? Because I mean, let's face it. Like for aliens to show up right when we're on the precipice of AI is a little bit just happenstance, right?
yeah.
Like it's way too serendipitous to be happening at the same time. Like you're looking at Nvidia's stock like shooting through the roof because they're posting revenues which are insane because everybody's trying to get their hands on GPUs to make more artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like all the big players in Silicon Valley are biting up all the graphics cards just so they have the compute power to play with.
Yeah.
So once they get those in the hands of the developers, are we essentially going to work ourselves out of a job as humanity?
I think we're going to have to figure out how
Wow.
to use the AI constructions to our benefit and watch how the motivation goes in. Because if we gotta have something that will tip us off about it's made some connections that we don't like. So we got to change that so that when they get the final robot, it doesn't have the destroy you motivation or the destroy self motivation. And those are just instructions. If it's tell it to shut itself off, shut itself off. But, unless there's stuff to do that wirelessly, how you're going to get in the other room and tell it to go out in the garage. I don't want to talk to you this evening. And so that leaves a whole nother thing for them to do and for you to do. It's like, how do you control that, And from the standpoint of jobs, it's too bad he's still not with us, but from the standpoint of jobs, they could be of great value, but we've got to design the culture to be able to take that in and for the rest of us to survive.
Mm-hmm.
In this country, we're going to have another 100 million people.
Mm-hmm.
In 30 years, 40 years, something like that. And what are we going to do with them all? We don't do anything with them all. We're going to have a government that recognizes all this and really takes to heart the fact that they need to do that. Otherwise, we're all in deep doo-doo.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to need, if robots do replace a majority of the a working class, digging ditches, putting bicycles together, putting cars together, if you eliminate the human worker, then you eliminate that tax revenue. And if you do that on a large scale, then you are eliminating that tax revenue which your government relies on to function.
Uh-huh.
How are you going to make that up if robots don't pay taxes?
When you purchase a robot, you also purchase a tax cost that gets paid to the government.
Sounds like a reasonable
Otherwise,
solution.
you can't buy the robot. They won't let you have it.
Well, would that additional tax take away the incentive to get robots at all? I mean, unless they were equal in cost. You wouldn't want the robot to cost more, then the business owner wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's
What
an
would you do?
interesting point. Right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. You could have a tax that would make up for that lost revenue. That's just a thought that popped into my head. If you get rid of a lot of the workers, you get rid of the tax base as well.
Yeah, yeah. But they might.
They
Form
could
a
form a
union.
union.
Just like it
They
happens
could.
now, you know?
And then they want to get paid.
Yeah, they
wanna
want to
get
get paid. And they have fees that you gotta collect and all of that. And you know, the humans kind of get left out of the whole darn thing. So somewhere along the line, there has to be a governing council for AI. Not for everything else, but for AI. That has to be strictly, well, let me think about that a minute. You know, suppose he said, well, I got all these robots here. What are you going to do about that? You know, I want this, I want that, and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem. It's a problem.
That's a monumental can of worms.
It is. It is. It is. So, anyway, let me say we've exercised that to some degree, and we'll exercise it more as time goes on. We'll have to, because we don't have the answers that we need to develop this kind of thing, and so, you know, let's talk about it some more. And so, we'll see you next time, folks.
See you, gang.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Wow, that was cool.
Don't forget to tip your AI.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Keep that in there.
there's two of them, two in this
You guys, that is very helpful.
September.
September issue, huh?
Yeah.
You guys don't mind doing that.
Wow.